Hi and good day, everyone. I am Miss Jendy Joy C. Sauces, and together with Miss Desiree Z. Gonzaga, in continuation for the discussion of Group 3, we're going to discuss our last topic, which is the metacognition or the metacognition. But before, but before anything else, we will first know what is our learning objectives. So we have three learning objectives for today's discussion. First is discussed or at the end of this lesson, the student will discuss the metacognition and development, can enumerate and discuss the metacognition knowledge variables, and lastly, identify the characteristics of expert and novice. So next, I will show you the flow chart of our discussion today. So metacognition. So first is metacognition development, and under that is the teaching strategies to develop metacognition. Second is metacognition knowledge variable, and under of that metacognition knowledge variable is the person variable, task variable, and strategy variable. Third is application of metacognition leads to be an expert learner. And under of that is the characteristics of expert learners. Fourth and last is learners who do not use metacognition remain to be novice learners. And under that is the characteristics of a novice learners. So now, before we'll dig deeper about our topic for today, which is the metacognition, I just want you to reflect about this quote from Cyril Hole. So, he says that if you teach a person what to learn, you are preparing that person for the past. If you teach a person how to learn, you are preparing that person for the future. So, at least for seconds, just reflect about this quote. Okay, so did you know that the most important goal of education is to make or teach students how to learn on their own, not just to teach a student what to learn, but to teach them how to learn. It is different, right? From teaching a person what to learn and teaching a person how to learn. Okay, so now let's proceed to our main topic, which is the metacognition. So, when we say metacognition, it appeared to be such a very difficult word to understand, right? That some people are confused about it. But did you know that metacognition is not that complicated? In fact, we do metacognition activities so often in our daily lives. So it says that thinking about thinking or learning how, so it is how, it is not how, sorry for the typo. So learning how to learn refers to higher order thinking, which involves active awareness and control over the cognitive processes engaged in learning. So, as what I've said earlier, kanina lamang na, we do metacognition activities so often in our daily lives. But, hindi lang natin, hindi lang natin siya napapansin. So, for example, when you sense that you are experiencing some difficulties with a topic, then you decide to study and trying out different strategies to learn better when you are already and that means you're already practicing metacognition. So, for example, another example is that you have a math problem in algebra, sequence, or etc. Then you are trying it in a particular formula na ibinigay sa'yo. But you can't find it anywhere, or you can't really find the right answer. So you make a new strategist. So you watch YouTube, you watch videos from YouTube on how to do it. So dun pa lamang sa ginagawa mo, you are already doing some strategies, and that is what we called metacognition. Thus, metacognition is already there, no, on what you're doing. So another, it says here that thinking about thinking. So it is really confusing, right? This sentence is really confusing. So to make it clear, the first we have two thinking here. Thinking about thinking. So the first thinking talks about the teacher. So a teacher must think how her or his students think. So for example, a teacher teaches different kind of students. So there is a section A and section B, and section A are those fast learners. So since um she's going to discuss or teach those fast learner students, of course she will make some strategies that are advanced, the since her students are fast learner, right? Then in the afternoon, she will going to discuss the same topic to the section B, which are we will just say slow learner or late bloomers. So she will make another or new strategies enable for that students to catch her discussion, or to learn something, or to understand her discussion. So the teacher must adjust, and that is what we call metacognition. So a teacher must think or or maybe put some new strategies in different students. So the next thinking is all about the student. So remember that the first thinking, it talks about the teacher, and the second thinking is all about the student. So the student also must think new strategies. For example, a teacher will discuss the topic about algebraic expression. So after discussing the teacher, so the students must also listen carefully, so that the students can also think new strategies or formulas, think formulas on how to solve the problems where the teachers given to them after discussing, right? But syempre, of course, after discussing, it's already expected na some teachers will have an evaluation, assessment, or some quizzes. So that is metacognition. First, the teacher must think about her students, and the students must think about new strategies or new ideas what her teacher would give them. So did you get what I mean? Or did you get my point? Okay. Let's say for example, or another example. So let's say for example, ano ba ang ating tina-target? So for example, as a teacher, your topic is all about the segmental and suprasegmental. So your target is to make that students differentiate or to identify the difference between segmental and suprasegmental. So at the end of your discussion, the student should know or should be able to say the difference between segmental and suprasegmental. Okay? Okay, so metacognition was coined by John Flavel. So, John Flavel was an educational psychologist, which promoted the importance of metacognition for supporting students' learning, and it continues to be a rapidly growing field of interdisciplinary research since metacognition is very effective. Okay, let's proceed. So next we have metacognition phase. We have planning, monitoring, evaluation, and the fundamental is reflection. So in the 21st century students, they are not spoon feeding knowledge by their teachers because teachers allowed the students to learn by themselves. So therefore, in general, teachers are just the facilitator of the students. So first we have planning. So when we say planning, you are making a plan. So for example, for example, you are a teacher and you are going to discuss the subject mathematics. And we already know that many students and learners will say that, oh, mathematics is so hard. I can't do it because it's so hard for me. I don't like numbers. So, because of that, as a teacher, it is your responsibility to have a plan first. You need to plan, and planning involves the selection of appropriate strategies. So, when we say appropriate strategies, of course, in planning, you need to put or make new strategies to make the learners um, understand your subject easier. So after doing your planning and all, you're going to discuss it in front of your learners, right? So after discussing that specific topic of in mathematics, you are going to monitor the students if they find it hard to answer your, diba, after your discussion magbibigay ka ng assessment sa kanila or quizzes. So you're going to monitor them. Of course makikita naman talaga sa kanilang mga mukha if they found it hard to answer, so that after monitoring you will proceed to the next phase, which is evaluation. So when we say evaluation, it talks about assessing or assessment. So after monitoring, then you will go to evaluation, and evaluation you will, in this phase you will see the students work, and you will see the students results if your strategy that you've planned is accurate and right. So therefore you will reflect, you will pause and reflect about your your planning, if it is accurate or perfect strategy. So if dili kayo siya perfect, if hindi kayo masyadong perfect at yung mga students got failing grades, so therefore you will make another plan. It's either na mag-add ka ng strategy, or kunin mo yung mga strategy that you've made na hindi siya masyadong accurate at hindi nakakatulong sa ginawa mo or sa mga discussion mo. So that is why, 'di ba, mobalik kag planning. That is why parang food chain lang siya, pabalik-balik lang siya from planning to monitoring, and then monitoring, evaluation. After evaluation, you will reflect, and then after reflection, um you will plan again and again. Okay, next is the five strategies that improves metacognition. So there are many strategies, of course, that will improve metacognition, and these five are some of those strategies. Okay, first is teach students how their brains are wired for growth. So when we say wired for growth, our brains is connected for our growth, right? So just like the cell phone needs a charger, and that charger needs battery percent, or needs to be charged, and to be charged, of course, the cell phone needs charger. So just like learning, di ba, nga ang mga students, if kanang kinahanglan jud na tama ang yung understanding nila sa kanilang edad, di ba, say let's say for example, in my own experience, when I was in junior high school, I was part of this reading team, which is our responsibility to teach our fellow students how to read correctly. because even though they are already in junior high school, some of students are not really good in reading. That is why pag the exam na, they will get failing grades since they can't understand the question, because they can't comprehend since they can't read correctly. So that is why, no, when I was in senior high school, because since I was part of that um group, then I was in grade 8 and I am teaching my fellow students which is already in grade 10. So advanced na yung edad niya kaysa sa kanyang brain, yung mga ideas niya. So that is why no na kinahanglan dapat naka-wired yung brains natin sa ating growth, kasi matatawag tayong late bloomers niyan or slow learner. Hindi na hindi na bagay yung understanding natin sa ating edad. Next is give students practice recognizing what they don't understand. So dapat you make or teach that students na they should understand those topics na hindi nilang masyadong na-understand. So dapat, kasi understanding is different from learning. I do believe what Albert Einstein says nga, nga every fool can understand, but the point is to, every fool can learn, but the point is to understand here. Therefore, learning is different from understanding, because when we say understanding, you really know what does the topic mean, what does the formula mean, and how to use that formula. Because learning, you will just know, I know that formula, you can memorize that formula, but you can't really know how to learn or to apply that formula into many problems of that mathematical equation. Okay, next is provide opportunities to reflect on course. So, of course, for example, here is the mathematics, examination mathematics. So, um, one of your students got failing grades, and because of that, no, allow nimo siyang reflect, or gi patanaw nimo siya kung asa siya na mali and why na mali siya dito na part, and you can also teach him some strategies about how to do it. So therefore, ma-realize si students na, oh, tama nga no. So dapat mag-study jud ko about ani simple raman day ni siya. Next is have students keep learning journals. So some teachers, no, when I was in junior high school, one of my teacher allowed us to make our own diaries, which is to write our daily activities and understanding and the and all of our mga hinanakit there and ideas also. So it is also ano pala helpful to improve your metacognition. 5 is facilitate reflexive learning. So reflexive thinking rather. Facilitate reflexive thinking. So when we say reflexive, it talks about his, her, him, yourself, myself. So it talks about yourself, myself. Ito ang kaugalingon. So thus, as a teacher, um, you should facilitate broad or open-minded students. Kasi nga, di ba, not all students in one classroom, there are more advanced and some of the students are slow learners. So, of course, you need to adjust. Next is the metacognitive knowledge. So when we say metacognitive knowledge, it means that you are doing your best. So pag metacognition or metacognitive, it is just about strategies, thinking strategies, made or making strategies. While metacognitive knowledge, you are putting your best, or you are putting some effort, or you are really doing your best to accomplish a task, or to improve what you really want to improve, and you're doing your best to understand things more. Okay, next. So in meta cognitive knowledge, we have three categories, which is the person variable, task variables, and strategy variables. So these categories will be discussed by Miss Desiree Gonzaga.
Metacognitive knowledge. The metacognitive knowledge can be divided into three. The first one is knowledge variables. The second one is task variables. And the third one is strategy variables. So, when we talk about metacognitive knowledge, this is the person variables. So, under the person variables, I will read it first and I will explain after. So, under the person variables is what you recognize about your strengths and weaknesses in learning and processing information. So it means that you need to know your capacity, your strengths, and also your weaknesses. That's why you need to learn and also you need to process the whole information that will come to you. For example, this one. Um, Other students are, for them, math is hard, but there are some students that math is easy. So, in that case, there are students that they really learn and catch up all the lesson fast, but there are also students that they are not that fast to learn. Another example of person variables. Ikaw, alam mo sa sarili mo na magaling kang sumayaw, ngunit hindi ka ganoon kagaling kumanta. The thing is, at least you know what is your strength and your weaknesses. Bilang ikaw na magaling kang sumayaw, ito ay magsisilbing strength mo. At sa part mo na hindi ka gaanong kagaling kumanta, this will serve you as your weaknesses. But at least you are trying to do your weaknesses to become your strength. Okay, let's proceed to the second one. The second one is the task variables. So, in the task variables, this is what you know about the nature of a task and the processing demand that required to complete the task. So, when we talk under the task variables, you or we are all know what is the process of this. You will just say it to yourself that I will know the solution and I will know the step to finish this task. And also you will tell to yourself that I have a process for this. I will finish this task by my own process. Because you know yourself that you have a task and you need to complete this by yourself. And also you apply a solution to this specific task. In addition, you have a little background to this certain task that is given to you. So in short, when we say task, this will be done at a given time and we all aware the time and process, the time management and the process for this certain task to finish it. So in Tagalog, para mas maintindihan natin lahat, task variables it is being aware on what task or anong gawain ang iniatas sa'yo. Dapat alam mo yung sunod-sunod na gagawin mo para matapos ng mabuti ang task na ibinigay sa'yo o ang gawain. That's all about the task variables. I hope you learned something, and the next one is the strategy variables. So, in strategy variables, what you know about a different strategy that you will accomplish a task. Those are those strategies that you can apply using the different strategies that will help you accomplish the task. Okay, this one. In these variables, higher thinking skills is part of this. Why? Because this is a strategy that we all know that this is not universal. Everyone is unique. Every learner is a unique, so that is why pasok sa strategy variables. Strategy will come on your own on what thing you will do using strategy. Just like for example, completing a task. Para mas mapadali ang paggawa natin ng ating task o ng ating gawain, minsan ginagawa natin 'to ng strategies. Gaya ng paggawa ng isang proyekto, ginagawa natin 'to ng strategy para mas mabilis matapos at mas maganda ang kinalalabasan. So that's all about metacognition knowledge. I hope you learned something and thank you for listening. I am Desiree Gonzaga.
So next is the strategy variables. So strategy variables, it we have here meta attention and meta memory. So it meta attention and meta memory are under in the strategy variables. So when we say meta attention, keep your attention focused. So once was Richard Feynman says that knowledge isn't free. You have to pay attention. Of course, as a student, we're going to school not just only to learn but also to understand and to gain knowledge. And by gaining knowledge, of course, we really need to be focused. We really need to focus our attention. So we should avoid distraction from the others. Since kaya nga tayo nag-aaral para makagain ng knowledge. And para makagain ng knowledge, of course, you need to focus your attention. Kaya para masabtan nimo, para ma-understand nimo, para ma-learn nimo. So, even if unsa kahawd ng teacher, even if that teacher is really good at teaching and very smart, so if dili ka maminaw, no, mahimong useless ang ang gihimong plano, gihimong kanang monitoring sa teacher, planning about strategy, if her students didn't focus about her discussion or na-distracts ang iyang mga students. So therefore, also as a teacher, so dapat meron din siyang mga strategy para ma-focus yung attention ng mga students niya sa kanyang discussion. Okay, next is the meta memory. So is your awareness of memory strategies that work best for you. So when we say meta memory, it is for example, nag-exam ka, then nag-study ka, after nag-study ka ato nga time. And then pag-study nimo, so pagbasa nimo about mathematical problem, let's say for example, Fibonacci. So since you've studied Fibonacci and you've watched some videos in YouTube on how to um solve Fibonacci correctly, then makain ko hala familiar ni Fibonacci unsa kito kung gibuhat. So minana murag mo go back siya ba, murag stored memories na nimo siya, and then pag makita to nimo mabalik sa imong memory or mabalik to nimo or magamit to nimo siya nga strategy. Next strategies is so under lang pa rin siya sa strategy variables, and these are some strategies, no? So in elementary, we have TQLR: tune in, question, listen, and remember. So this strategy, which is the TQLR, is applied in elementary education or BEd or elementary students. So for let's say for example, you are going to discuss the story about the monkey, no, the monkey and the turtle. So, by doing that, you need of course to tune in. So, kailangan mong iparinig sa kanila yung story about the pagong at ang matsing, matsing at ang pagong. And then after that, you will question. You will um you will give questions to the students, and after that, you will listen. Listen if tama ba yung oo nga, tama yung talagang naintindihan ng bata yung mga stories na sinabi ko sa kanila, yung stories about the monkey and the turtle. Kasi they can answer the question. So they listen carefully. And then, of course, by doing this, three, of course, they will remember it, no? Nga, pagka tomorrow na, so makaingon silang, ay, nani mo to story ni teacher sa amo before. So kana maka-remember sila. So it is a helpful strategy. Next is the PQ4R. This strategy is applied for secondary education or mga high school students. So we have here question, read, recite, review, and reflect. So, for example, is in examination. So, sorry, I didn't put the meaning of P. So, the meaning of P here, or the acronym, the meaning rather, of P is preview. So, when we say preview, for example, in examination, you need to review. As a teacher, you will review and you will give questions to the students about your topic. So, for example, our topic in Filipino is all about the suprasegmental and segmental. So, you will ask questions about those specific topic, and then after reading, they can recite it, right? They can recite after giving them questions, and without knowing that by doing this, they are already reviewing. Naka-review na sila about sa exam. And then, pag abot sila balay, maka-reflect sila nga, inani day dapat akong buhaton. Ay, tama, inani day itong suprasegmental. So, it is also best strategy nga buhaton nimo para ang students is magets jud nila og tarong, and then ma-understand nila og tarong. Okay, next is the novice and expert learners. So when we say novice and expert learners, novice is something like um about just learning, while expert is, when we say expert learners, talks about understanding things, digging deeper, and expert learners also uses metacognitive strategies. Okay, now we're going to differentiate the novice and expert learners. So first is knowledge in different subject areas. So novice learners have limited knowledge in the different subject areas. So for example, in what is science? So novice learners have limited, right? So they will only say that science is a systematic study of knowledge, right? So since it is just the definition, so definition lang ibibigay nila. They didn't dig deeper kasi nga, 'di ba? Learn, you can memorize that. Ano naman talaga, you can memorize that the meaning of what is science, since it is mubo lang siya or short. Then when we say expert learner, have deeper knowledge in different subject areas. So for example, okay, for what is science? So when you're an expert learner, you will say that science is a systematic study of knowledge. Therefore, science is have steps, and it science science is very useful in our world today. It helps us to understand new things and um to know, or to tawag nito to discover new things, no? Next is problem solving. So in novice learners, satisfied. So masatisfied lang sila sa problem solving. For example, in mathematics, doing some about the ge- geometry o geometric mga ganyan, geometry. So, by doing that, ay inani man to gihimo ni ma'am. So, inani lang guro nga step. So, bisag dili siya accurate, basta ka na sila solution, go na dahil na sila. While the expert learners, they try to understand the problem. So, i-understand nilang problem, for example, about problem solving, about Polias, steps, no? In problem solving. So, kanon i-understand nila yung, so, ganito pala yung sinabi, merong 3 buses, merong 6 passengers, and ganito, ganyan. So, ganito yung gagawin natin ng mga strategy para to get the right answer. Next is learning thinking strategies. So, novice learners employ rigid strategies that may not be appropriate to the task at hand. So, they make any strategies, they will apply any strategies even if it is not appropriate or correct. While expert learners design new strategies. So, they design new strategies, while novice learners, kung unsa lang to lang, sorry, while novice learners, kung unsa lang to ang ilahang mga um, nahibalan na strategy, Usa gitong gikuhimo ni ma'am, so yun ani siya. While the expert learners, they create and they try to understand it clearly. Clear? They try to understand it clearly, no? And then by understanding it clearly, they can make new strategies that would be appropriate, or they are really different. Not be appropriate and be appropriate. Okay, next, selectively in processing. So novice learners attempt to process all information that they receive. So for example, a teacher. So um science is all about systematic study of knowledge. And then there are subtopic. We have here the astronomy, biology, chemistry, physics, and all. So mga ganyan. So they try to to absorb it all. And then, so inani siya, dapat inani siya. So they try to memorize. Well, the expert learners select important information. So sa science, ay nani ang science. So ingon ani ang iyang keywords. Nano siya. So 'di ba, memorizing is different from understanding it and comprehending. So pag memorizing lang kasi ako as a student, no, I am not really into memorizing. I really love comprehending it first kasi iba yung memorizing. Pag i-memorize mo lang yung mga, for example, i-memorize mo yung about sa science, about sa physics, inana ganyan, about earth and life science. I-memorize mo yung mga ganun, yung mga anong mga topic dun sa science, anong mga topic dun sa science, metamorphism. So mga ganun, mga metamorphism. So kung i-memorize mo lang yung ganun, ay parang long, hindi siya pang long term na memory kasi memorize mo lang after 3 days or 2 days, malilimutan mo na. Well, if you understand it, if na-understand din mo what is metamorphism, what is what is about science, so parang like, 'di ba, science is a systematic study of knowledge. Pag na-understand mo, hindi mo 'yan malilimutan kasi na-understand mo, na-acquire mo. So that is expert learners. Next is production of output. So when we say output, ito na yung mga result ng kanilang ginagawa. So do not examine the quality of their work, not nor stop to make revision. So for example, in research, doing in research. So of course, in research, we really need to read it carefully, read it again and again, and then try to find the problem, and then try to revise it. Pero ang novice learners, dili na sila ginahimo na. So, ay, tama na ni, mao na ni siya, yung na sila. So, kung unsa lang, satisfied na sila sa mga butang nga feeling nila nga, ay, diri ara mo kutaman o inana. So, but if you're an expert learner, but we should be an expert learner na dili masatisfied sa butang nga, ay, okay na, okay lang na, tama na ni. But dapat, we really need to dig deeper to understand things para dili na to siya malimutan. And pagka next na pod na mga sinatian na to nga something like that, ma-apply na to nga strategy since we understand it, how to use it. So that's all. And so that's all for today. That's all for today's topic. And I hope that you've really learned a lot this topic, which is the metacognition. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Once again, I am Jen Joy C. Sosas, and together with Miss Desiree Z. Gonzaga, we discussed the metacognition. Thank you and God bless.